Hey, Mark Evers here from David's House, and I want to talk to you today about one of the several challenges facing the Copyright Royalty Board process for distributing royalties. Let's start with a little background information. The Copyright Royalty Board is a panel of 3 copyright royalty judges that was established by the U.S. Copyright Office of the Library of Congress. They determine the rates and terms for copyright statutory licenses and make determinations on distribution of these royalties. Now, the CRB has given a victory to songwriters and publishers via an almost 44% incremental increase in rates covering the years 2018 to 2022 for on-demand subscription services. These are the royalty rates to be paid by the likes of Spotify and Amazon, Apple, Google, and Pandora, which are your main digital service providers. And as you might imagine, all of the DSPs, with the exception of Apple, have appealed this CRB ruling. Here is the challenging part of this process. The CRB sets the rates for 5-year terms. It takes 2 years to go through the process of setting rates for the next term. Given that timeline, the CRB begins the negotiations process at the start of year 4 of the 5-year term. So, as you can see, it is most likely that songwriters and copyright owners will still be in litigation for the current term as they enter into negotiations in 2021 for the subsequent term. Millions are spent in litigations, which are just a drop in the bucket to the DSPs, who keep the songwriters and publishers in a constant cycle of litigations. Now, it's important to note that we are here partly due to the compulsory license and consent decrees. A compulsory license allows an artist to re-record and release a songwriter's song without their permission. The artist merely pays for the license. Consent decrees are contracts between 2 parties, such as the Department of Justice and ASCAP, or the Department of Justice and BMI. Some songwriters feel that the consent decrees constrain their ability to negotiate a market rate for their music. The bottom line is that the songwriter cannot, for the most part, refuse a compulsory license, and they cannot negotiate a better market price other than what the government has outlined by way of these consent decrees. And now, to add further insult to injury, the rates that were approved by the CRB are not even being honored because of delays as per these DSP appeals. So what's the solution? Some want modifications and/or exceptions to the consent decrees. Others say do nothing until we see how the Music Modernization Act is implemented. The Department of Justice Antitrust Division is currently reviewing the consent decrees and public comments received in relation to the effects on stakeholders regarding this matter. We will stay tuned to hear the results of the DOJ review, the CRB process, and the effects of the MMA as it pertains to copyright owners.